Hello everyone. So I'm going to be trying to do this little experiment. So in our Maratta Triangle, red is in the lower left corner. Okay, so we're going to have a triangle sort of like this. As artists, we have to visualize things. I want to make as much use of this surface area, so I want to broaden this triangle out, okay? Like, get as much as I can, so I'm going to put it over here. This pure spectrum red, okay? It's quite a cool spectrum red, but I think that's appropriate since you want to make the nice purples. Now, in order to make the red hue, the red semi-neutral, let me show you something. Okay, basically, you're gonna mix that's the red orange. Where's my orange? Make sure you have all your colors there to begin with. It's good to have little canisters of these. Oh, I guess that is my orange. Problem with my orange is it's too yellow. Even though it is an orange, it leans way too much on the yellow-orange side, I think, is the problem with my yellow-orange. But I think it's okay, but you have to compensate for it. It's a beautiful feeling having these colors handy. So we have red orange plus red purple. Red purple is, where is my red purple? Oh, it's under here. Makes it a little tricky because this is my red on top. Oh, you can turn it around and put it on the base like that. I just wanted to show you what I just did. This was the bottom cap for it. And what do I do for the base? You can just kind of either set it like that on top of that so it doesn't contaminate your own color. You will get your fingers kind of messy. Well, I guess that doesn't really solve the problem. So you could just do it flat like that and then just wipe it afterwards. Set it down like that. All right, now we're gonna mix that red purple with this red orange. Oops, I need more red purple. And we arrive at red semi-neutral. But this is a very, very saturated semi-neutral. As you can see, it rivals its own color. Now it's leaning towards red-orange, so let's add some more. Red purple into there to make it distinctly in the red family. Now in our mixtures going down from here, we're going to use this rather than the pure color if we need to really brighten things up. But to my eyes, I can hardly distinguish You can see just a tad bit more orange in there. So I'm gonna add just a little bit more. Just a touch more to cool things down just a little bit. And now, I have to say I'm pretty happy with it. Okay, so this has slightly less chroma than this because we've taken the two sides of the triangle coming out from here. This going off towards purple, towards blue, and this going off towards orange, towards yellow. And we've basically brought those together. So we've met on a line, but it's on the line to the middle of the triangle, it's about just really close to it, right? So we'll put it just right there. We'll be able to tell the difference between it and the pure spectrum red. Let's maybe make it a little neater here. Okay. So this is the practice of color theory, practical color theory. Now, in order to get a more desaturated red, what are we going to do? Well, let me show you. What we're going to do is we're going to take the same mixture as we had before, some of that red purple, some of that red orange, we mix those up. What we're also going to do quite a bit more red purple than I realize. What I'm also going to do is stretch even farther out on the triangle. Okay, so I just want to make sure I'm on the right line. I've got the right mixture here, matching it to here, so that I can then go wider, knowing I have the right proportions at least of these two, so then I can go wider out. Now to do that, I'm going to add, you guessed it, should put my colors over here. Okay, so to this, I'm going to add some orange. Okay, my orange is very much, like I said earlier, a yellow orangish color. So, in order to make it more orange, more its true kind of orange color, we're going to add some red orange into it. Okay, and that will give it a nice deep orange, right? So we're going to add some of that orange, and we're going to add some of that purple. So to get the purple, we have this spectrum purple over here. So these are basically going to be this is going to be kind of in the middle over here. It's purple. Okay, I squeezed quite a bit out. Now, this purple will also be brought into the mix. Okay? Now, let's do just a little, let's just do half of what we have first and see what we get. And that'll probably be a good idea anyway. Because we need to see, oh, look how strong the orange is. Look how it's just becoming a brown, not a red, but a brown. But let's see if we can make it a red by adding more, you guessed it, purple. Oh, it definitely reddens it up, doesn't it? Do you see that reddening happening? But it's, I think it's possible that we could say that it's still, now it feels like a red-orange. But I wonder if we could warm it up any more than that. There's gonna come a point when we can't warm it up any more than that and it becomes cool. But let's see if we can find that point. You can see that this is indeed more red. Okay, so let's see if we can make it more red than that. We're trying to find the point where it shifts into coolness. Because just before that will be our red. It seems like this, it indeed does become, when we take this orangish color and mix that purple into it, we do indeed get a desaturated red, don't we? Isn't that interesting? But you have to have gotten the red-orange and mixed it in with that, with our orange. See, this is my cadmium lemon, and this is my yellow orange. Just like a cad yellow, light, medium kind of thing. This is more like cad orange, but it's lighter because I added more cad yellow medium and other things to match it to what I had theoretically. Okay, so this is our red. This feels like a red bicolor to me, not a red semi-neutral. And it is because it's purple and orange. Okay, so all the tones of red lie along this line. This line is going towards green, towards neutral, and then towards green. Okay, so let's get our red semi-neutral that is truly or apparently semi-neutral by mixing some of this, leave some out, but mixing a good amount of that into our red hue. Now you see how nice that is. Okay, and now this is our next step towards green, but notice we haven't added any green. So in this way we've created very rich saturated reds, as saturated as we can make them. Now what's on the other side of red? Green, right? So we're going to take our green and we're going to put it over here. It'll be somewhere over here. And now for green, we're just going to add more red to it in order to bring it towards neutrality. But we're not going to add directly red. we're gonna add red hue. Okay, so we're gonna take some more of that. And we're gonna see what happens when we mix this with just a little bit of that red hue. Look at that nice green semi-neutral there. Real nice and earthy, sappy kind of color, sap green color, a little bit. This is unnatural and not earthy at all. This is quite earthy. But what if we mixed a little bit more of that into it? We get green hue, don't we? You see that green hue? Emerging there. And now at some point, we lose the greenness altogether. And at some point, we lose the redness altogether. And it just becomes an achromatic kind of color. Trying to take a little bit more from that green. There's our neutral. See that? It's the point at which I don't know whether it's green or whether it's red. It's not gray. It's colorful. True complements will sometimes give you actually, I think it's the definition that they actually do give you gray. This is pretty close to gray. It's achromatic, isn't it? It's very interesting. Now let's do the same thing for blue. So we've got our neutral line. Blue is our cyan. Make sure our knife is clean of these reds. We're going to take the blue. Take some of that blue. Poor blue, it's starting to oxidize because it broke. The cat broke on it, poor thing. Okay, so blue would be down here in the other corner. Let's just put it all the way down there. Try to scrape this cap. Wow, it's really drying up in there. Get what I can of it. Scrape it out. And then get what's good of it. I mixed varnish into the paint, so I also mixed a little bit of oil into the paint to keep it, to make it last or stay open longer. But because of that varnish in it, I mean the Myers medium, which has some varnish in it, and turpentine dries very fast, so stuff oxidizes. So you can see this pretty blue cyan color, which is just cyan. It's just phthalo blue-green shade. I think this is Lucas brand. I think this is even the student grade. It's worth just getting it, I mean, just for color studies, just to learn this theory. So we got our blue, right? But now what are we gonna do if we want blue semi-neutral and we don't want to mix the complement? Which, remember, the complement of this, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'll get to that later. Okay. Now, to this blue, How are we gonna get to blue semi-neutral? Wipe my knife. I'm gonna get some blue purple. Get some blue purple, and I'm gonna get some, and I'm gonna mix a little bit of that cyan into the blue purple, okay, to make it like a bright blue. Color is really kind of at the end of its lifespan, but it's still useful for demonstration purposes. All right, and then over here we're gonna have, up here, that was supposed to be down here. So up here we're gonna have some blue-green. We'll use this one. Okay. So we'll use this blue-green, and then we'll mix, like we did before, we'll mix, I think I got too much of it. Like before, we'll mix some of that cyan into it. Make it cooler. Nice, very cool blue-green. So we'll just add these two together, which have already the basic relation of the cyan blue. And I might need to add some more might be too much green in there. Yeah, it's too much blue-green in there. So in order to get to that true blue, we're gonna add more. Don't want to use too much paint, if I can help it. Add more of this, and we'll just do a little part of it, not add it into the whole, right? Because we're trying to mix and match it, so we gotta take it slow. You can even do it piece by piece. And then add more blue purple when you run out. And now you can see that we've really arrived through that blue-green and blue-purple at a desaturated version of our cyan. Now this one, like on its way to the middle, would be about here, probably. Okay, so there's steps in between that. Like if we wanted something like this, where we had something very close, we would probably just take a little bit of that and then let's just say mix some of that true blue into it. So now we've created a slightly toned down version of our cyan. on the way to neutral. And then we could even do another step in between that. I added too much, so I'm gonna take some more of that, more of that. We're trying to find a midpoint in there. I think I found it here. So I'm learning about this stuff right with you all. Notice it's getting darker as it's going towards neutral. Okay. So it still has some underlying brightness. Once we get into this semi-neutral here, it starts to get dark, doesn't it? Now, how do we go even farther? Well, we have to mix green with purple, purple with green. All right, this is on the line from here to here, but it's gonna be a more desaturated version on the way to neutral. All right, just like this, but with blue. So we can start, as always, as like a guide with just a touch of that blue, okay? To that, we're gonna add a bit of this green, spectrum green, and spectrum purple. And theoretically, hypothetically, I'm gonna wipe away because there's some red brown there. I don't want to contaminate it. Keep your palette clean. Now let's mix it up and see what we get. We're hypothetically supposed to get something like this blue. Might not look like it though because it's going to be desaturated. Sometimes you need to add white into these colors just to see what they are. They get so dark. But it is hard to say. What we need to do is actually find the blue point between this purple and red. So let's do that. Let's just drop some on the way. Have the most right here. A little bit less here. A little bit less here, and so forth. And then with the purple, same thing. Most there. A little bit less there. A little less. A little less there. Whenever you think there's contamination, wipe it off. A bit less there, there. Okay, now let's start mixing. And by using the transparency, you can better judge the color. See that? We're trying to find the midpoint because hypothetically that midpoint would be the blue. It's really kind of a tricky procedure. But this does appear to be the blue point. It's neither purple nor green. It's quite gray. Okay, but if it's neither purple nor blue nor green, well, we're probably pretty close to it, just as with here. But let's add a little bit more of our find out what color we have, let's add a bit of white to it. Where's my white? Let's use this one. Shit. Appears. Don't need much of this white stuff. My knife. Now, let's take some of this white and just see. And you can see that we are indeed working with, to add some more, a desaturated blue. Aren't we? Isn't that interesting? The theory holds. But just for demonstration's sake, let's add just a touch of that white to it. Just so that we can be more clear about what we're looking at. I didn't add much. But now between this line and neutral, there is quite a bit. So we can take some of that and some of this and find just a representation of some midpoint between these. I think I'll add that too, actually. I think I'll add that. Okay, so as we're going towards neutral, it's appearing to get more greenish, as this appears to get more brownish. As it goes towards neutral, a bit. Now, what we can do is we can take some of this yellow to which, orange to which red orange has been added. I'm trying to think here the best way to do this. Well, let's start with yellow. Let's go to yellow now. Okay, and put that on pause. So far, well, what is on the other side of that blue? It's this, it's orange, right? Hypothetically. But in our orange, orange is going to be coming from up here in a more vertical line. Actually, it's not going to be this way. It's actually going to be up here. It's actually going to be somewhere over there. Let's actually take this orange. This should be our opposite to this, okay? So to this, we're going to actually take our hue, okay, put it there, and we're gonna start mixing in some of our orange there and see what happens. We're getting a green, aren't we? Okay. And look at that, just like that, we have orange. That's almost orange hue, isn't it? What about orange semi-neutral? Well, for that, so what we're mixing here is not the line for orange on the color chart, which is its true opposite, but we're mixing a line a bit farther down, which is going to be cyan blue's true complement. Okay, so now I have an orange tone down somewhat. Need a bit more color. I want a nice representation of orange semi-neutral. And I think that's it right there. And then we also have a step down from that. So, and this is all using that cyan blue. So because we are staying in the same color family, we can deduce that we have found indeed something very close to the actual complement. Okay, does that make sense? This is the line from orange down to cyan. Or actually orange, red, orange. You could write it ORO or ROO, it doesn't matter. You can find your own way of doing it, but you'll know however you write it what you mean. Now, I'm gonna add some more of this. Now we're getting close to getting into some achromatic tone, where it's neither orange nor, this is still a warm. It's starting to become a very ambiguous. It's starting to shift green, if you notice. And it will do that. It will do that to avoid, see it's shifting up towards green. To avoid that, you'd have to add a little bit more red-orange into it, okay? You would use a red-orange bi color. You could even use this plus some orange to give you that color, okay? Anyways, we want to find where the midpoint is if possible. Midpoints are important in these color mixing formulations. They give you a lot of information. And I think that might be actually neutral right there. It gets kind of hard to say. You see, and when I mix all that together, I'll get a very and notice that this one is kind of lifting up towards towards orange. So you would have to add a bit more of that blue into it. Keep it on the same path. Yeah, keep it from veering off. Isn't this an interesting and sort of meditative process? As you can see, it's become quite greenish, and it does that. We're still on the cool side with this, but let's bring that over and let's mix some of that warm into it. And there's our neutral point right there. It's what they call an achromatic color. And one can argue about it, but it's close enough. Now, we said that this was, where did we say our midpoint was? Was this our midpoint here? Yeah, I think that was our midpoint. Or no, that was the green, wasn't it? Well, to find out, we can maybe take some of that. Yeah, that is the midpoint right there. See how achromatic that is? It is what we will call neutral. Now to this neutral, we will add more and more, okay? But notice that from here, we can take that little bit and mix even to get an even more neutral blue. Okay, that's just on this side of neutral. And we can have it meet just on that line towards the neutral. This was my idea of how to approach this. Notice how related these are. All right, so this is more green, right? So we can add a touch more of that orange. Okay, and we'll actually take a little bit of that. We'll scrape stuff around here, and we'll add it to this neutral. Okay, so we're expanding our base neutral. Isn't this cool? Some might think, oh, what's the point? Life is short, get painting. Well, to each their own. But one shouldn't criticize others simply for trying to use their brains when they paint and understand what's going on with colors. Shoot. Accidentally scooped up some of that red. Semi-neutral. the bright saturated variety. Put it back over there. Clean this area up a little bit. So look at how interesting this is so far. Okay. We still need to do what? The line from orange down there, huh? So we're gonna clean that pile. So in the Maratta chart, triangle chart, it is gonna be directly across from our blue. So it's gonna be up here. Okay, like that. Now we're gonna, remember, start with, give a little starter pack there. And we can just, we can actually just mix, not the neutral because it has some warmth of the red, but let's mix a little bit of the, just the deep hues together. And we will get looks like a hue, doesn't it? It's so desaturated. Let's take just a little bit of that. And let's take a good amount of that orange. And we're just trying to shoot for, let's take the rest of that and mix it all in. And this way, we've gotten a nice desaturated orange. This is our spectrum orange here. So isn't it interesting we did what we did? We did the same thing Maratta did in his triangle. Now, I'm gonna try to clean this up a little bit. It's hard. It's okay to have some leftovers. Now we're gonna take what's left on this knife that I'm dropping, and we're going to mix some more of that neutral. I mean, not neutral, but blue hues. So now we're really dropping down away from orange into like what appears to be a greenish kind of territory. Add more orange to keep it in the family. Okay. And now I'm going to take a little bit of that, drop that down. We're going to add a little bit more of that cyan hue. Actually needed a little bit more. Okay, and now step down from that. Now we are getting green, aren't we? So it's bending over towards green, isn't it? Kind of bends around neutral into the green territory. So it doesn't have an, so we can tell that it's not a direct complement because it's not an actual complement in practical speaking terms because it produces this this green instead of higher than the neutral and more towards the orange over here, like that, leaning towards the green. Then we can take a little bit and we can find sort of balance between the two. So notice how that orange does tend to bend as it's coming down close to the cyan. It's about as neutral as it gets right there. But it's still like a green. You want it to the point where it doesn't seem so much like a green or an orange. Or like a, yeah. So anyways, what we have if we combine these, that, a little bit of that, a little bit of that, a little bit of that, and that, and that, and that, and that, and that. What we have, still need a little bit more. We have, if I can get enough, what is this going to render? As you can see, then it's on that line right there, on the same line as that green. It's just grayed down a lot, isn't it? So we can actually put that on the line. And that was neutral right there, so we arrived at green hue by mixing together. Now isn't that cool? It's the same hue, or a very similar hue. Okay. So that's what happens when we bring that complement across. We wind up like that. Now, let's take a little bit of that, and a little bit of our red for balance. That's our neutral. We're taking some of our neutral. So we give and take from our neutral point. And then we're gonna mix that with that little bit of cyan there. Mix some of our original tone back into it, the purest form of it, so that we do get and remember that it will lean green. It's kind of inevitable. Keep mixing that original color into it to get it as close as possible to a really desaturated. And notice that this is starting to go green too. So then you can come up here and add that to this. And get like a bridge color. Wiping that away. And notice that's a blue-green. That's blue-green hue right there, it looks like almost. It's bending up towards green, isn't it? Okay. Now how about yellow? What about yellow, you may ask? Well, what about yellow? Let's talk about yellow. So yellow cadmium lemon is our true yellow. Okay. You can repeat all these experiments with cadmium yellow light, but really technically cadmium yellow light is leaning into the yellow orange territory, and that's why I basically use it or something very close to it for my yellow orange. All right, I want a little more of that green, and I'm going to put it farther out. And now we have I destroyed my green hue, but by adding it into this green, we will get a nice, more earthy green. And remember, that was the green hue we got from mixing cadmium, or from mixing orange with our cyan, where I crossed that line. So that's why our hue is still close, it's warmer. Because you're mixing progressively more red into it, it's going to get warmer as it approaches neutral. So I'm going to take these two and combine them for something a little bit more representative. Now, if it's too warm, what do you need to do? If it's gotten too warm to be, you think, on that line, it can be hard to say. But just take back a little bit of that original color and put it in there. By adding gray, you're actually adding warmth to it, because red is on the way. Gray is on the way to red, in other words, what I'm trying to say. So here we have our green semi-neutral. And it's a nice, richly saturated, but much more earthy, whereas this true green seems quite unnatural. This is now quite earthy. Then this one over here is even earthier, isn't it? It's even warmer. It's even more desaturated. Now what happens when we take this green and we mix it with more of the red? That wasn't enough. Still wasn't enough. If you find it's not enough, try going to the next more saturated pile, adding a touch of that, but be careful. It'll change fast. So I see how I have it on, I already have a change, but there's more red on the outskirts that I didn't need. So I just scraped away from that, and then I can take that red and I can bring that closer to neutral and see what color that renders. And we're getting into very achromatic colors here. Okay? We're all around the same, sort of revolving around the same place. And let me add a touch of that warmth. Actually, I'll just add all that to get something very close to neutral. And that's how we know that when we feel it's really achromatic, is when we feel, oh, okay, I've gotten something close to the complement. And just for curiosity, you can take that and take, but if you have just a little bit, it can be too hard to tell. You actually need to test on a larger area. But with some practice, you can become very skilled with the knife, as you see I'm being. All right, let's talk about yellow. Let's talk about yellow. How are we going to carry yellow down? Well, we're going to start with yellow. I see some paint residue, so I'm going to clean that well, since every little bit of surface area I have is pretty precious. So I'm going to clean that part real well. These baby wipes, they're so handy. And we've got two of the three apexes. I don't have a lot of room here, do I? But we'll make it work. Find a piece of glass and do this exercise. Get your, the hard part is getting your spectrum colors together. Finding little containers that you can mix up some in. Glazing colors like I've made are good. Wear gloves. You're mixing them up, please. Because there'll be like terps and stuff. You don't want it on your skin. Now let's go from this to yellow-green. Yellow-green and yellow-orange. So I'm going to take that yellow I already put there and carry that down. In fact, I'm going to grab a little more of it. I'm going to take that green, I'm going to take that yellow-orange, and we're going to make yellow semi-neutral with it magically. Now purple is on the other side of this, right? So there's also a step between this and the pure tone, isn't there? So we need to represent that. We'll leave that there for it. That'll be enough. Now we need to take this, some of that. We need to start a new pile. Now, we could mix in neutral with this, be okay, but let's be safe and trust that be safe and trust that that our purple is going to save the day. So as we mix, we see it warms it up way too much. It's very strong. So we're going to back off a minute, and we're going to put this aside and just mix up that little bit right there. Okay? Just mix up this. Now, I'm adding more of that yellow because the hue has been skewed from the warmth that the purple adds. But we've arrived at red hue. Now what happens when we mix that little bit of this? Remember, really this triangle is supposed to be like this and a long yellow thing. You're supposed to have a long line of yellow and then a shorter line of reds and blues, ideally. I just am cramped for space here, which is unfortunate. But look at this, we're still in the yellow family when we added all that purple. So that's how we know we hit the nail on the head in choosing this purple. And so, as you can see, there's a whole science to this stuff. I don't know what color that is. If you're not sure, wipe it away. Now, I need to figure out what the limit of this is, what the limit of the yellow is, before it becomes neutral, and then crosses over into the purple family. This right here appears to be most neutral. Either more like an orange kind of color, if anything, I feel like. So it does bend a little bit. As it approaches neutral, it bends over here towards orange. I think it was. Let's take a bit of that. Let's go investigate what color that actually was. So as you're seeing, it is kind of got a bit of an orange kind of flavor to it. It's not a yellow any longer, is it? But it's also not a purple. It's a gray, but it's about in the center. All right, so next up, some of my yellow-orange. Okay, now I can take some of that color I just mixed and put it over here and see what the effect is when mix it well into my purple. It's not having a whole lot of effect. So let's actually add a little bit more of that yellow. We should see effect here, yeah. Here we're getting a bit grayed down of a purple. This is our purple semi-neutral. But actually we could add a little bit more to it. Just put this here and then take some of this, bring it up here, and add, we want to make sure we're adding the right, we're actually adding yellow, same yellow that we've been using. We want to find that next big step. Like this for the semi-neutral. Let's add those together. Now we have a nice purple semi-neutral. And we can even add that up there to get the next starter pack for, is that enough? Yeah, I think so. And then we're gonna get, let's take a good little touch of that yellow. Good little touch of it. Now I gotta back off because I think I added too much. I'm gonna kind of take it easy and get some distinct steps if I can. Now we got a purple hue there. See how that works? Appears very brownish when it gets grayed down. But it's still purple hue, as we can see by when we take some white. That nice lavender purple we get. All right. We're gonna add just because we want to get to our neutral. We're gonna just take, and we got to get enough to see. Take some of our purple hue and add more yellow to it. And there's the neutral spot right there, where it's neither this nor that. And you can wipe your knife after that. You've wiped, rubbed it out. You can say that's neutral. Doesn't appear purple, doesn't appear yellow, appears kind of orange. Put it over here towards the orange side. It's all neutral. Doesn't really matter. This whole stuff is neutral. See how methodical I've sort of been in constructing this? I want you to try to aim for that sort of methodical thinking about it, carrying it out one step at a time, being mindful of what you're doing. And how cool is this stuff? I think it's really cool. All right, so it's quite warm, isn't it? There'll be other cool midtones. Now, what's next? Well, since we have this here, let's go oh, crap. I wiped away some of my purple semi-neutrals. Gotta be careful you don't do that. Well, shucks. Kind of got a touch of red to it, doesn't it? There's going to be this shifting, remember, towards orange as you get close to neutral. And this is especially true on the violet side. Now let's try an experiment here. What if we took orange, right, spectrum orange, and we mixed it with green? What do we get then? If we add more green. And note what we're getting here. We're getting a very special thing, and we may have even noticed that we got it. And it is a very deep, well, let me shift this over here just a little bit. Move this down here, and then I can put this is yellow hue right there. If you want to see what yellow hue looks like with white added, it looks like this. See that? See how it's a yellow hue? See its relation? All right. Now, up next is this yellow orange. I'm trying to think of what's up next. Mixing some more. I want to take a little bit of that. And add it in here. I really need the Maratta Triangle chart, but we'll stop here. I've got a representation of red, cyan, and yellow to the purple line. So I think you get the point from this demonstration. It's not so hard. You just got to take your time, and first of all, you got to get your actual complements that actually do pass to a central neutral. But let's take our neutral, and just for fun, let's see what color it makes when we mix it with a good amount of white. Look at that really natural, beautiful, warm gray. Isn't that nice? So anyways, this is color theory. I hope you enjoyed watching it and learned something from it. And more importantly, I hope you conduct a similar experiment yourself and share your results. Thanks for watching.